Am I the a-hole for firmly telling my husband I want to cook for his friend again? For context, my husband's male 33 best friend, male 37 Dale, lost his wife to cancer this past March. Ever since, I've been asked by my husband to consider sending hot homemade meals to his suffering friend, and I've started including Dale in the meals I cook. It started off as 1 meal a week, then gradually became 3 to 5 meals a week. Then my husband started coming with requests from his friend Dale wanting me to cook certain meals that he preferred. I wasn't so fine with it, as I already had not a lot of time to spend in the kitchen. I'm a nurse, and work has become very exhausting. As well as money we spend to buy ingredients we need to cook meals for Dale. Dale would send me texts or emails thanking me for the meals I sent him, but at the same time kept sending suggestions and new ways to improve my cooking. Like how his wife made X meal crispier or how X meal should have more sauce. I gotta say, I started feeling irritated, especially since Dale kept texting all the time. And even when I don't respond, he'd text my husband who asks me to please be more patient since this is a phase and will pass. A few days ago, I was in the middle of my shift at 11 a.m. when Dale sent me a text, but I was too busy in my unit I didn't even look at it. I work in a big hospital, so the pressure is big. I got off work at 9 p.m. to find my husband at home looking upset. I asked him, and he told me his friend Dale texted me early in the morning to tell me he was having guests over and wanted me to cook him a meal so he could serve it to them. But I didn't respond and kept him hanging, forcing him to order food at the last minute. I was taken aback. I didn't know why he'd come to me expecting that I cook for his guests, knowing that I had work. My husband said his friend was just asking, but I ignored him and made him feel like a burden. I told him A, I was busy working, and B, I'm not obligated to cook for Dale, much less his guests that I never met. My husband said that Dale would have said okay if I said no, but he thinks that I work too much if I can't take a minute to look at a text he sent. Dale said that. It's funny because my job's paying for the food Dale's been eating since March. My husband said I put Dale in an awkward position and should apologize and clear the air, but I told him that I'm no longer cooking for his friend. Not even weekly meals, period. Since this is the type of treatment I get and being treated like a maid or a personal cook, then I'm not cooking for Dale again. Ever. I said this, then I went upstairs. My husband said I overreacted and was being insensitive toward his widower friend and should have had more grace because his friend is struggling himself in this hard time. My husband said he didn't know I had this cruel side of me and asked me to put myself in Dale's shoes to understand that he's struggling. Additional info. A. Dale doesn't work, and my husband says it's rude to ask Dale to pay for food we send him when I complain about the stuff I'm having to pay for to cook. B. My husband says Dale already has other friends helping out, but not with cooking as they are single and none of them know how to cook just like my husband. C. Dale thinks I work too much. How does that even concern him? I have no idea. Dale and I never really get along, but I keep it civil since he's my husband's best friend and is struggling to adapt as a widower, so I try to be graceful and understanding. My husband goes over to his house daily to help with whatever he can, so it's not just me helping, but because my husband doesn't cook. He thinks Dale deserves to have a hot meal or 2 weeklies. Cooking is not a problem for me if it doesn't interrupt work. I cooked for my brother many times when our mother passed away. But it's how Dale kept texting all the time. My husband works from home and takes care of household chores except cooking. Now for the top comments. Not a-hole. Texting you at work to cook for his friend's friends? That's nuts. If someone needs to cook for his friend, your husband can always do the cooking, especially if you are working. You don't have any magic skills in the kitchen that he can't develop if he thinks it is important that someone from your family cook for his friend. I'd also draw a line at having his friend over for more than 1 meal a week. Any more than that, and your husband needs to prepare the meal, because it is, as you say, a lot of work. It is also really intrusive to have a guest over that many times a week. What about your privacy? If your husband thinks this cooking is no big deal, he can do it. If it is too big of a deal for him, it is too big of a deal for you. On the day of 2, Opie didn't put Dale in an awkward position. He put himself in an awkward position. Absolutely ludicrous on the part of both Dale and the husband. OMG, yeah. I'm a planner, and this day of expectation would drive me absolutely nuts. Like, dude, at least have the grace to ask 24 plus hours in advance. Not Dale, Opie. Dale doesn't work and deserves a hot meal once or twice a week? Okay, so he can order hot takeout. Or get a job. or spend his plentiful downtime teaching himself how to cook, which would be beneficial and a good distraction strategy for coping with grief. Why doesn't he work in the first place? Why hasn't your husband learned to cook if he feels so strongly about this? Not a day-hole, but your problem is not Dale, but your husband. Theoretically, it's nice that he wants to be there for his friend in a hard time, but it seems he's very inconsiderate towards you and your time. If Opie's husband wanted to support Dale after his loss, then maybe Opie's husband should have done the freaking cooking instead of forcing it on Opie. Apparently, both Opie's husband and Dale's other friends don't know how to cook, because we all know that recipes are all written in some language indecipherable to men. For Pete's sake, as a grown adult, cooking is a basic life skill. If you don't know how to, learn. Don't just force your wife to cook for you and all your friends in the few hours she has off work. Now, for the next story. Am I the a-hole for inviting my 29 male girlfriend 28 female on an expensive vacation and expecting her to pay all of her share? I make a lot more than her. Hello. My girlfriend, myself, my parents, and my brother and his wife all went on vacation in another country a week ago. My brother and I were the ones who did most of the planning of the itinerary, although we did ask everyone else for input. For background, I make around $150,000 as an IT consultant. My girlfriend is a teacher making $45,000. My parents are pretty affluent, as well as my brother and sister-in-law. My girlfriend knew this trip was coming up and took on a second job waitressing on the weekends for several months to get ready for it. We have always split things 50-50 in the 2 years we have been together. There were a few times on vacation when she did not go on outings with us, wine tasting / scuba diving / etc. She also would only eat 2 meals a day, simply stating that she was on a budget. My family does favor more high-end, expensive places. My parents thought it was very strange that she only eats 2 meals a day, although normally she eats 3. When we got home, I asked her why she skipped out on several of the outings and only ate 2 meals a day. I mentioned how I heard her stomach growling one night and said I was concerned about her having an eating disorder. She got teary-eyed and said that 3 meals a day wasn't physically feasible for her, and neither were the outings that she chose not to go on. She went on 3 out of 6 outings. She said she was not expecting everything to cost so much, and she was overwhelmed. She also said she doesn't know if this is going to work long-term if she is expected to go on vacations like that with people who make so much more than her. I feel bad that I did not pick up on her discomfort sooner. But we did agree to split everything 50-50, and I don't know why she agreed to come if the cost was an issue. You're the a-hole. Dude, come on. Your girlfriend had to take a second job to keep up with your family. You heard her stomach growl. You didn't think she may not have the cash? God, you're not the brightest, are you? You make over 100,000 more than her. Don't even treat her to a holiday? Yeah, it's not going to work. You're blind to your girlfriend struggling. Help her. Opie makes me pretty angry. He gets to save and have enough money to spend on whatever, whenever he wants, while his girlfriend is struggling just to be able to afford her share of things. Yes, going 50-50 might have worked out in the beginning of their relationship, but when the income disparity is that big, you need to adjust the agreement. Why should she be the one to live up to his desires when he so clearly doesn't care about hers? You're the a-hole, Opie. Just reading your post again, I don't think you actually care about your girlfriend at all. You're the a-hole 100%. She went because she loves your stupid butt. She worked a second job and went hungry to be with you and your family. Maybe you and your family should have some empathy and consider that not everyone is making 6 figures. Teachers are drastically underpaid for their education and often have to take a second job. Public servants who teach children are devalued, and in this case, her own boyfriend and his family couldn't care less that she was making huge sacrifices to attend. Your job is to be a good partner. You failed. Sorry, you're the a-hole. I feel for her. You'd been together 2 years. It sounds like to her this was an opportunity to get to know your family. She sacrificed a lot just to afford to come. You then watch her go hungry on a trip with your family? I mean, you don't need to pay for all her costs. But could you not have helped a bit to make sure she at least eats regularly, given that she worked 2 jobs earning a lot less than you for this? Next story is titled, Would I be the a-hole if I refused to help pay for my brother's wedding? Here's some backstory. My 20-male brother, 35, has a long history of nearly getting married then pulling out the last minute. It's the same story each time. He'll introduce a girl to the family when they start getting serious and tell us that they'll be getting married in a few months. My parents will go to meet her parents, and the wedding preparations usually commence at this point. When the wedding is like a month or two away, he'll pull out of the whole thing over a fight or something. This has happened at least 8 times over the years. The reason he keeps pulling out is apparently over him not having enough money saved for the whole thing. Now this is confusing because he's been in full-time work since he was 18, has his own place, and pretty nice Mercedes car. The issue at hand is that he's brought another girl to the family. It is apparently serious this time. The wedding is a month away, and things are getting hectic. My mom is going around hounding all my siblings to chip in and pay off the wedding costs, seeing as my brother has no savings and is relying on us to bail him out. I was added to a family group chat dedicated to helping him pay off the money. Each one of my siblings was told to pay £1,000 by next month. I have been receiving non-stop phone calls from family asking when I will pay my share of the money, and this has taken a toll on my mental health. I currently work full-time and earn around £400 weekly, and I pay around £550 a month to my parents for rent and groceries. This is the second job I've ever had, and I've just recently started to learn how to save money and spend wisely. Paying £1,000 would put a serious dent in my basically non-existent savings. My family's also very toxic and mentally abusive, and there has been many times I have really needed help. Not money, just someone to talk to or ask for advice. And only my big sister was there for me. My mom has even gone the extremes of telling my siblings they were forbidden from sending me any money when I was broke and stuck in a different country. I might be the a-hole because I'm from a culture where family helps each other no matter what, and everyone expects me to pay the money. He's also my brother at the end of the day. So would I be the a-hole if I refuse to help out my brother? Edit. I just want to clarify my brother isn't the one asking people to pay for him. He actually hasn't talked to me about the wedding at all, and we're on pretty good terms right now. My mom is the one doing most of the fundraising and stuff. Now for the comments. There has been many times I have really needed help. Not money, just someone to talk to or ask for advice. And only my big sister was there for me. My mom has even gone the extremes of telling my siblings they were forbidden from sending me any money when I was broke and stuck in a different country. And this. Am I to be the a-hole because I'm from a culture where family helps each other no matter what? Does not go together. Not the a-hole. It's like the rules don't apply to me, but I'm expected to follow them. There are a lot of things about your family's behavior that makes me think it's probably not in your best interest to be relying on them or being in situations where they can pressure you into doing what they want. Your brother's an idiot, but I feel bad for him. If your parents are pressuring him into meeting someone and starting a family the same way they're pressuring you to pay for his wedding, it's no wonder he keeps canceling the wedding last minute. It's not about money, it's about him not wanting to get married. That's so true. Living in their household gives them the opportunity to try to manipulate me into things. I'm trying to move out very soon though. Not the a-hole. Your brother is 35 years old, in the middle of his working life, and you've just started. He doesn't need help to pay for his wedding. The fact that he's previously pulled out of weddings at the last minute is just an additional reason not to trust that he won't pull out this time. If it's different girls, the wedding costs are not the reason he's previously cancelled, but they may be the reason he now can't afford a wedding. When you plan a big wedding then cancel, you don't get all the money back. That's the thing. I really can't afford to give out money right now, and my job isn't really a steady one, so I have to save for a rainy day. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for getting upset that my girlfriend's sister keeps inviting herself into our home? Hi guys. I've been struggling with this issue recently and looking to see if I'm being an a-hole about it. I have been in a relationship with my amazing girlfriend for over 5 years. We have only recently moved into our first home together and have both been loving the experience and freedom. The issue I have been having recently is that since we have moved into our new home, it feels like my girlfriend's sister is constantly inviting herself over. For a bit of reference, myself and my girlfriend are in our mid-20s and her sister is mid-30s, so all adults here. There was a point earlier this year where her sister would come around roughly 3 times a week for a few hours at a time, whilst we were both working from home. She would also bring her 6-year-old son at times, which has been difficult if her son has a tantrum. Kids will be kids, but preferably not when working. My girlfriend is aware that it does get on my nerves how often it happens. We have never argued about it. However, she has seen my mood drop when it happens. I've told her it can feel like being suffocated at times. However, she is close to her sister, and I'm afraid to touch the subject at times. Her sister invited herself over to stay the night with her son just last week. I didn't know about this, and it turned out my girlfriend has been pretending to be ill so that she wouldn't come over. I feel terrible, almost as if I'm turning her against her sister by accident. Anyway, she's invited herself for dinner this week, so that will be fun. Am I the a-hole? I just like my own personal space and feel it's being invaded slightly. Not the a-hole. Talk with your girlfriend about this and bring up that you want to set boundaries regarding people inviting themselves over and visiting. I wouldn't say you're corrupting your girlfriend because it seems that she's uncomfortable about all this as well. It's a pretty extreme reaction to just fake being sick to prevent someone from coming over, so I think she isn't as okay with it herself. Also, maybe this is just me, but I've probably never had a friend or family member come to our house unannounced. Even in situations where they're just in the neighborhood, they phone us ahead of time. Seems like a common courtesy in my opinion, especially since you mentioned in your post that she comes when you're working and brings her kid. I think it all depends how close you are with a sibling. My brother and I would 100% come into each other's house unannounced if we were in the neighborhood, but I'd never think of doing that with either of my sisters. Great relationship, just not best friend vibes. I don't think OP is the a-hole, but I would recommend OP and girlfriend sit down and talk about a compromise with the girlfriend's sister because some ground rules seem like they need to be put in place. And to my knowledge, OP doesn't even have a clue where his girlfriend head is at. Not the a-hole, but I'm afraid your girlfriend needs to grow some spine and tell her sister honestly what she thinks. And the sister herself is pretty a-hole for just invading your space with a son like this. Not the a-hole. 3 times a week is a lot. 3 times a week when the people are working from home and bringing a child is too much. You should have a conversation with your girlfriend's sister since you won't.